Trusting in God's plan during tough times, it's a theme that resonates deeply with many of us. We've all been there, faced with situations that leave us feeling lost, uncertain, or just plain scared. And yet, it's precisely in those moments that we're called to put our trust in Him, to have faith that He's working everything out for our good. When our faith is tested, we often struggle to see a way forward. We face loss, and it's hard to understand why God would allow such pain to enter our lives. We face uncertainty, and it's tempting to try to take control of the situation, to micromanage every detail. We face fear, and it's natural to wonder if we'll make it through the storm intact. And yet, in the midst of all this turmoil, we're called to trust, to believe that God's plan is best, even when we can't see it. We face doubts that creep in, whispering that God's abandoned us, or that we're not good enough, or that we've simply made a mistake. We face the temptation to give in to our emotions, to let fear and anxiety dictate our actions. We face the pressure to conform to the world's way of thinking, to put our trust in ourselves, in our own strength, rather than in God. And we face the fear of the unknown, the uncertainty of what's to come. But what if we could learn to trust God's plan even in the darkest of times? What if we could learn to see that His ways are higher than ours, that His thoughts are beyond our own? What if we could learn to surrender, to let go of our need for control, and to put our trust in Him alone? I remember a time in my own life when I was faced with a difficult decision. I had been praying for guidance, but God seemed silent. I was torn between two paths, and I didn't know which way to go. It was a time of great uncertainty, and I felt like I was walking through a dark valley. But as I look back on that experience, I realized that God was with me all along. He was guiding me even when I couldn't see it. And He used that experience to teach me the value of trust, of surrendering to His plan, even when it didn't make sense to me. Even when I've seen it time and time again in the lives of others too. A friend who lost her job, but trusted that God would provide, and He did. A family who faced a health crisis, but trusted that God would heal, and He did. A couple who faced a difficult season in their marriage, but trusted that God would bring restoration, and He did. And in each of those cases, trusting God's plan was the key to overcoming the challenge. One of the most profound revelations I've had is that trusting God's plan isn't about understanding what's happening. It's about trusting who's in control. It's not about seeing the end result. It's about trusting the one who holds the future. And when we can learn to make that shift, when we can learn to trust God's plan, even when it doesn't make sense to us, that's when we can find peace in the midst of the storm. So what's the takeaway from all of this? It's that trusting God's plan, even in the hardest times, is possible. It's not always easy, but it's worth it. When we choose to trust God, when we choose to surrender to His will, we open ourselves up to a deeper level of faith, to a deeper level of trust, and to a deeper level of peace. If you're going through a tough time right now, I want to encourage you to hold on to trust. Share your story with us in the comments below, and let's support one another in this journey of faith. And if you want to hear more about building resilience and faith in the face of adversity, be sure to check out our next video where we'll dive deeper into this topic. Thanks for joining me on this journey, and I'll see you in the next video.